Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome. Guys, you remember what happened with EVs and robotaxis, right? All the craze around robotaxis, what's going to happen, especially with Elon Musk when he was fighting for that. I'm going to talk about Elon Musk a lot. And again, a lot of people say, "Hey, you're being too harsh on Elon Musk." I'm not. It's just who I am. Like, I can read through. I'm not. Listen, guys. There's a difference between being clever and being a genius. So I think he's very clever. In fact, I think anyone who starts a business is clever. I've got my own business, Oruka. It's a tap to pay device. Okay, so that means you can. This is my phone. This is my wallet. This is my POS. So if you're a business owner, this is your POS terminal. You can tap to receive money. It's clean, and this is a bank as well. So you can tap to make payments. So there's a lot of devices out there, and this is made by my team. I have a whole team of very clever people. Okay. I've got a team of people in India as well and China who work so well, who put these devices together, structure it, send it out in a lovely package box to my customers across 55. But I'm not a genius. I don't think any of them have claimed to be geniuses, but they work very, very hard for my customers. Again, I'm going on a rant about Elon and what's this guy's name, Sam Altman as well. All these guys that claim to be geniuses and dress up looking silly, right? You know, it's just, I don't know. Like anyone that claims to be a genius, already they're not geniuses, right? There's something behind it. And if you look at it and see all the things he's come up with, all the things he has failed, all the money he's blown, space like SpaceX are still blowing rockets till tomorrow. If any of us had an opportunity, right? I'm not being jealous. Actually, I am being jealous, because again, he came up from South Africa. So someone from South Africa who suffered, okay? And he didn't come up from South Africa now. So whites in South Africa, right? Things are much more balanced now. Not balanced, but things are better than the apartheid days. He grew up when his dad had a mine. Yeah, think about that for a minute. He had a mine, his dad had a mine, had the private jets. How many of us today in this day and age do our dads have mines and private jets? So I don't know. I like him, okay, in the fact that what he does to the community, what he gives back, and all that, which is good. But the fact that way he draws and everyone thinks he's a genius, that's where you lose me. Sorry, that's gone on a rant about me and Elon. It's always the case. But what I want to talk about really is about EVs, right? And again, I remember when, in Ireland, we had this EV come out. It was Leaf, Nissan Leaf, which was very, very cool. Really quick as well. Same as quick as Tesla. A little bit quicker, but really quick because electric motors don't have propellers, right? And there's no gas combustion engine. There's nothing. It's clear. Electric, step on it, it goes. That was it. And then you come up and bring up electricity, any of the other cars that have, electric vehicles, right? It's been clear. They just go in, click, it goes. So in Ireland, then I think they had the government, the car, I remember exactly how much it was because I put up so much money then to actually try and buy one. I ended up hiring it and I didn't like it. But again, range anxiety back then was crazy. Right now, it's still the case. But it was about 25K and then the government gives you 5K euros back, which is very cool. And it was, at the time, it was revolutionary, okay? But it became really mainstream with Elon. So Elon came up with the Tesla point of view and then, made it look like he's changing the entire, car industry and all the mafias are out to get him and all that. And people felt sorry for him, right? So he became the poster boy of electric vehicles. If you wanted something green, if you wanted something tech, you'd go with him, right? A lot of tech consumers really believe in the future, right? So if you look at Bitcoin, and all the story around Bitcoin and blockchain is always tech guys. And tech guys really, really push the boundaries. If you came up with something tech related, first people that are going to buy it are always tech people, okay? And they spend a lot of money. They don't ask how much it is. Tesla, you know how much electric cars are? Teslas are so high up there, but they pay because of the future. Same with our ring. So again, we're not charging a lot for our ring, guys. Come on. It's a ruka.com. Check it out. But same thing, the guys who usually go for this, we made this ring specifically to avoid people getting robbed, okay? So I care about people who are poor, okay? That's the point. I care about people who can't afford, and I was like, listen, you don't want your phone getting stolen. Why don't you wear it so that before anyone grabs this, good luck to that, You're walking on the street, you don't have a phone or wallet because you just pay with your ring. No one's going to grab this from you. If they grab it, you can block it immediately on our app, just like that. But the people, most of our customers across 55 countries, by the way, that's a lot. But most of the customers we have are mostly tech people. So tech people go in and buy 2, 3, 4 of these devices. One customer bought one for him, bought one for his kids because he doesn't like his kids having his credit card. So he bought one for his kids, bought for his family, bought for his mom. Yeah. And I think they were in Alabama or somewhere funny as well, which I've never heard of. So there's a whole village of family that have got my rings there. Hopefully I'm talking to you guys here as well. Welcome. The point I'm trying to make is tech people always push these boundaries, right? And they try and go for it. And that was why Elon leaned into it, right? He did well there with the whole marketing and everything. And he did very well there in terms of the money, in terms of how much you put in there, right? But what went wrong with EVs? Yeah, and that's the title of this video. I'll tell you what went wrong. Number one is greed, okay? So one is the cost, as we've talked about there. But okay, I'll make it easy, right? So I'll start with the hard part or the easy part, which is out of his control, out of anyone's control, and that's the range anxiety. So that still remains an issue. If you want to go charge your phone right now, if you want to go fill up your car right now on petrol is expensive, diesel is expensive, but you can drive in and get it done. Okay. No matter where you are, there's enough infrastructure, charge points, and there's enough time. If you do that with a car, okay, it's crazy in terms of the numbers, right? So if you drove from, again, I'm in the UK right now. If you drove from here to Scotland, you can't even finish it on one charge. Okay. And I remember Elon coming up. This is the last time, I promise. Remember, coming out with a silly excuse, rather selfish excuse to say after 200 miles you should rest, and people are like, yeah, that's true. After 200 miles you rest. Therefore, the car mileage 200 miles is good enough. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. When I drive easily 300 miles. If I stop to rest, that's 1 second. I don't want to charge a car when I stop to rest. If I stop to rest, I want to buy food. And I drive with my wife, so my wife takes over driving, and I sleep if you want me to rest. Yeah, so these days there are two people that drive. In fact, hardly do you see anyone getting on the 300, 400, kilometer drive alone, or miles, 300 miles, right? Hardly. You don't see that because there's always 2, 3 people, so you can always interchange. But with the Tesla or electric motors for that matter, you can't. So the infrastructure is just not there yet in terms of charging points, fast charging. And I say that as if Elon is the only car that's got it, right? So because he's the one making all the noise. But in truth, even China as well, the fast charge is just still not there. They're trying. We're getting there. And I hope more people do that. Rather than the noisemakers, I hope people actually go out and implement these things. So that's that, which was that. Then there's also the battery. So battery, these things use lithium, they use cobalt as well. And these things are hard to get. I remember Elon coming out there saying that, hey, lithium is the most abundant thing on earth, right? So he goes, hey, if you go to the... Okay, I'll stop now. But what he said, I'm not going to abuse him or say anything insulting to him. What he said was that in the crust of the earth, there's a lot of lithium. So if the crust of the earth is that big, therefore there's a lot of lithium on it. Yeah, that makes sense. It makes as much sense as saying that on every atmosphere or every meteor, there's gold. That's true. Did you know any meteor that flies past us has a lot of gold and a lot of diamonds? But what's it going to cost you to bring that down to earth and actually mine it? That's where the money comes in. That's why it's so expensive. So when Elon says, hey, batteries are cheap, you can get batteries as much as you want. Yes, you can. But go down to Africa, which he hasn't, by the way. Go down to Africa, go into the mines and see what these people go through to bring out and manufacture batteries for us to drive our EVs. Yeah, it's inhumane. It's inhumane, right? It's very risky for these guys. And it's not cheap or trivial to bring out lithium from the core of the earth and bring it out and then produce your batteries. So that's why it's going to always become an issue. And that's why the cost of producing cars is still expensive, and electric cars just die out easily as well, because of this battery consumption and the lifetime as well. I mean, I had a Tesla 2 years ago, actually, 2 or 3 years ago at this stage. And it was a pain, I can tell you, to drive, especially if you're in the UK or Europe. So actually, we're in Switzerland at the time. Switzerland, I just forget it. Because winter, if you drive a distance over 1 hour and you have a full charge, it's gone in 1 hour. Right, so that was it. It was gone. So you just can't, right? Because you can't even listen to music. You can't do anything because you're using the same battery. In a car, you can't do it because it gets recharged. But you can't. I mean, if there are solar initiatives, then that helps, So that's my point. So the infrastructure is just not there, and it just remains not there. That's why they haven't done well. That's why the EV, let's call it hype, has gone down. It wasn't hype. It was hype just because of the cost. A lot of manufacturers have gone in. BM did a very good one. Mercedes got a lot of electric cars. Cars now have electric lineups, okay? But I can tell you the lineups, if you do it, you're doing it just a gimmick at this point, right? And I'm not saying it's not enjoyable to drive. So guys, let's not get that. I loved driving a Tesla, yeah? It's enjoyable to drive, okay? But how many times do you drive for fun? How many times do you just enjoy to drive? The point is you're always driving to go somewhere. And that brings me to the other topic around automatic or the AGI, automatic driving. So you can, robotaxis as they call them these days. So robotaxis is the same thing. Robotaxis is you just go in and sit in the car, right? We had a few people that do it. There's Boston Dynamics, there's Elon as well that went in to do that as well, and he's still pushing on it, right? But the point now becomes, and the AGI issue, right? The point now becomes, you're not going from A to B because of fun or because there's someone sat in front of you or not. And that's where they miss the point. You always have to talk to customers. Try to find a solution for the problem. Yeah, in this case, the solution is simple, right? Why don't you make it more comfortable for people to go from A to B? or reduce the need to go from A to B. Yeah, again, my team are dispersed. I've got, customers over 55 countries. My team are in for Oruka, right? Just this one, just my business on this. They're about, 5 locations, 5 countries. Now imagine if everyone had to go into the office. So I force them all to go into an office. That jacks up commuting times a lot for these people. And then you have to worry about cars and all that. I'm not saying they go in once in a while. I think so, just for community, meeting together, the whole lot. Again, I don't watch them and all that. But what's important is the fact that if you do that and force people to go in every day, that becomes a problem. If you don't, it reduces commuting time. And that's what we need to focus on. 2 points, right? Again, and I know I'm not saying Tesla, Waymo, all these guys, Boston Dynamics are not doing well in trying to get, some sort of robotaxi in place. I think they should. But guys, let's be honest. Let's think about this. It's not about money, okay? Because everyone just runs for the money and goes, oh yeah, they're going to be worth millions. We should buy their stock. That's true. But that's selfish, because if your point is to increase the stock value, then you're not providing value to customers. By the way, I like this. I like this chicken glasses, chicken mug. But like I said, it's not, you're not doing it for customers if you're worried about stock price, which is the problem I've got with Elon as well. He's always looking at the stock price, how much it's going to sell, how many customers it's going to sell. And the press, the media, everyone just feeds into that. Oh, he's going to be the first trillionaire. It's going to be what? The first trillion. Yeah, and I don't mind. Again, maybe he's going to claim to be African at that point, right? And I don't mind that. But here's the point: that's not the goal when it comes to customers. If you, as a customer, are worried how rich your CEO is, that's a problem. Like, I'm not, I hope my customers are not buying my ring so I can get rich. They're buying it because they need it. Yeah, and that's the same thing with robotaxis. Why are you getting a robotaxi? What's the most effective robotaxi you can have? Let's look at that. The most effective robotaxi you can have, right? Number one, it has to be in a controlled environment, because the edges are what matters. Okay, so if you look at that, if you have a robotaxi, okay, I'm getting angry and passionate if you can't tell from my voice, but I want us to look at this just from pure common sense. If you're driving a car, the edge scenarios is what matters. You can drive a car. I've been driving for all my life, okay, almost 17 years. I've never had an accident. But here's the point: if I have an accident where I kill someone, just that one day is more involved and more impactful than the 20 years I've been driving or whatever, right? That's important to note. The edge cases is what matters when it comes to driving. Yeah, but people like Elon and all that just worry about, there's only been slight accidents. No, the accidents are really important. It's like when there's a plane crash. One plane crash, there are hardly any plane crashes, thank goodness, right? Thank God. But one plane crash is enough to actually bring down an entire airline. That's the same thing with these robotaxis. You're getting on the road and getting on the road every time and looking at these things. But the edge cases of just crossing or driving the wrong direction, stopping at a red light that's a bit confusing that a human can tell, but a machine can't, is a problem. And you're spending so much money to get that 1% case. That's a problem. Maybe we shouldn't. How do you make it better? Let's look at it again. This is from the cost. As a CEO, I think, oh yeah, you should go ahead and sell it. Okay, sell as many robotaxis as possible. Imagine if you have so many taxis and then you replace them all with robotaxis. That's a yay. You sell a lot more taxis. You make money. From the customer's point of view, is it safe? No. Who's going to die? Who's going to be the at least 5 to 10% accident rate can be expected. Right now, the accident rate is about 2-3%, depending on the country you look at. Robotaxi is going to go up to 10%. Who's going to be 10% people that are going to die? Who's ready to die for Elon to get richer? Or for any of these robotaxi guys to get rich? No. So what's going to happen? You need to get a controlled environment. You need to have a place that goes from A to B for electric cars. Oh wait, if you're going from A to B, guess what that mirrors? That mimics public transport today. Because the public transport takes you from A to B. Yeah? So that means you now have a path that you take, that you know that path is safe. You know the roads are straight. You know the traffic lights are straight. What does that give you? Now, I'm already describing, and you can hear it from I'm describing a train. That's what trains were invented to do. Trains are supposed to take you from A to B, and they go on rail tracks, so there's hardly any accident. The percentage rate of, again, I'm not saying there are no accidents with trains. They're on train tracks, there are accidents. But guess what? It's very, very minute, very, very low compared to driving cars where you can go from A to B, and there are different split decisions on the road. There could be drunk people, the roads could be poorly marked. There's a lot of edge cases that could cause accidents. There could be new road layouts. I could go on forever on those things, right? So here's the point. Instead of spending all that money on getting a robotaxi, do me a favor. Just improve the rail tracks. Get more train stops. Get quieter trains. The train just went past there. I'm sure you guys heard that as well. It's very loud. Get more quiet trains. They're hydrogen trains. They're trains that are much more quiet, that can go straight through towns, drop you. How do you make robotaxis even better? Yeah. Again, right now, I think they sit 4 people, 3 people, yeah. But then people say, oh, if the driver is not there, you could get 4 people. Great. Why don't you make it better? Make it, get 5. How about that? 6, 7. The more people you have, the better for Robotaxi, right? We have to agree. It's more efficient. So if you have 10 people, 12 people, 20 people, then you're looking at a bus. You might as well get public transport. So the point I'm trying to make there, and I hope you guys see it, is that the most efficient Robotaxi you can have is public transport. So we're going backwards in life. We're going backwards to get Robotaxis. If you get a Robotaxi, you're going back already. You're failing. Yeah. So I hope that explains why Robotaxis and EVs eventually, okay, not now, because they went in as a bubble, but eventually they're going to go down. Eventually, it's going to fail, and then people go back to public transport and hopefully spend a lot more money on public transport, making it better, making it cheaper, making it safer, making it more green, more quiet. So we should focus on. Okay, I'm going to stop there for now. Have a good one and talk to you later. Oh, and buy Uruka. Uruka.com, urukabusiness.com. All the best. Bye.